Everyone is originally from Africa, and this book is therefore for everyone. Africa is the birthplace of humankind itself, yet little of its ancient and modern history is widely known. It has an extraordinary past, engrossing narratives of warrior queens, kings, chiefs, priests, and priestesses, of mighty civilizations blooming on the banks of rivers or in the shade of sacred mountains, of lavish buildings hewn out of rock, exquisite libraries bursting with discovery, bustling caravan routes and market squares thick with the voices of traders, travelers, farmers, and entertainers.
Okay, that was Dr. Badawi in An African History of Africa. We thank her for taking on such a work, such a critical work, and I highly recommend her book. All of humanity originated in Africa, and so therefore centering the history of Africa in our narrative is critical for all of us, for all people. And so therefore this webcast is critical for all people, is something that can enrich all people. Welcome to episode 2. I'm Dr. Anna Amani with
Alex Businje.
and we're here. We're glad that you joined us today. We want to talk about the concept of tabula rasa, which is a psychological concept that talks about us coming into the world as a blank slate. I would like to counter that with the idea that we actually come fully equipped with everything that we need to thrive as human beings. And it is the environment in which we land that can become a challenge or a barrier. If you think about the parable of the sower in the Bible, and it talks about some of the seed landed and was eaten by animals, and some of the seed landed in rocky soil, and then there was good seed that landed in good soil. So that is what we ultimately want to create for ourselves. You may not have had that as a nurturing environment as you needed to fully thrive, but you can create that for yourself. You can hack that for yourself. And part of how we do that is to think about the formative experiences that we've had and how they've guided our thinking today, and how that thinking is manifesting the life that we're living. And is it the life that we want to be living? So I wanted to ask Alex to perhaps talk about a formative experience that guides your thinking now.
Yeah, it's something that we talked about before. Growing up in high school, I would say, I mean, that is, I guess, where all the formative experiences happen. Most of them those are the formative years. So I've had quite a number, but maybe let me speak about the one that has shaped my career and has shaped a big part how I look at life and how I look at myself, and how just basically my role in this world. And I think it was a time when I got in trouble at school, and I had to leave. I had to. I would try to say I was suspended, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
But suspended.
I was suspended, and but before I got actually after I got suspended, I remember just waiting in the classroom, waiting for my parents to come and pick me, and they came really late that day. I think it was I think my suspension happened like at 4 p.m. or somewhere at 3 p.m. at 4, and they came in at around 7, right? So so in that time I would just happen to be just sitting in the what we called the administration office, and I was just overhearing the conversations that are happening in the room. I was hearing what the teachers are saying, and there's this one guy who was very patronizing in his attitude, And and he kept on talking about how he's on top of things and how we as a student population have no power, and he's in charge, and we can do whatever we want to do, but there's nothing we can do. And I remember he was one of like the guys who were who had handed me the suspension
Yeah.
for something so minor. And I just remember looking at him, and I was just so frustrated. And I took all that frustration, and when I walked out, I just started talking to people, just one by one. And every time I would talk to someone, I'd realize that they were getting more angry than I was. And every time I was just saying that, it seemed like I was telling them the right things, and they were just getting riled up and getting angry. And I just kept on going, and I met this group of guys, these Kenyan guys. They had come from, rumor has it, I don't know how true this is, but apparently they were kicked out of all the schools in
Kenya.
in Kenya.
Whoa.
Like they wouldn't accept them in Kenya, so they were in Uganda, right?
Yeah.
And there were these very like bombastic characters that they're flammable, personalities. Like you didn't want to say anything to them, and if you said something wrong, if you said the wrong thing, I mean, these guys would just go, like they're on the edge somehow. I don't know why it was like that, but so I started talking to them like, did you hear what?
Right.
Do you know what he said? Do you know what that guy said? And so I'm talking to them, and they're getting angry, and they're holding their heads, and eventually, I leave. My uncle came to get me, and I left. And I remember hearing in the morning that those guys had turned over the car of that particular teacher, yeah. And there was a strike that followed, and all that kind of stuff. And I was called back for a general assembly. And I just remember, thinking, having some sense of like, I may have caused this, right? I may have caused this with my words. I may have started the whole thing.
Stoke the fire.
And yeah, exactly. Stoking the fires. And I knew exactly what was happening. I knew the mood in the school at that time. I took advantage of that mood. It just had that moment of reflection, like, people's lives changed last night, and it's because of what you say or what you told them, the buttons that you pushed and all that. And I was angry, but again, and I couldn't have known what was going to happen. But again, I was partly responsible for their actions. And I remember walking away with this feeling that this is how powerful we can be. This is how powerful our words can be.
Right.
And how we kind of have to be careful how we, what we say, how we say it, when we say it, because, for you're just angry, but someone's life is going to change because of this. And people's lives are going to be impacted because of this. I mean, so I dedicated my life in that moment. I dedicated my life to using my voice for something positive, something powerful. And I went on to study communications in Malaysia, and then in the US for my master's public communication. And right now, it's the core of my entire career in communications work and in crisis management and all the things that I have done. So another reflection from it is, that poem, What's Your Greatest Fear? I think it was Marianne Anderson, but Nelson Mandela echoed it in his fight against apartheid, where I think it was when he had just been released from prison. And it says that, what is your greatest fear? And it asks the question, what is your greatest fear? And it goes on to say, our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure.
Yes, beyond measure. Yeah.
Yes, that it's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Right? And that's exactly what it was like for me. And since that time, I have never been not confident in what I'm able to do. I know that I have an obligation to use my voice to uplift others,
Right.
and to encourage others, to give them hope, and and not to break them down like I did that day in high school, because the people who are responsible were all expelled.
Right.
And 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 now I know that, okay, that, so going back to that, that's a formative experience that I can say that just let me know that actually you're more powerful than you think.
Right.
So just don't go around walking as if or existing as if you have no you have no impact, like you cannot impact something serious.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so that there, going back to that's just one of the formative experiences that I think has shaped my entire career.
And definitely that's a theme. What we want to bring out here is use your powers for good, because we all have powers. I mean, you think of superheroes, but as individuals, we all have powers. And a formative experience for me, I'm thinking back to when I was like 5 or 6, and we were in a civil war. Here we were in a civil war, and I was in the village. We had gone in hiding in the village, and I got very sick of malaria. And they called the local doctor, and they brought medicine, and then they bathed me in some herbs, and then they called the elders to pray for me, and they had prayed for me, and I still was running a very, very high fever. And I remember my grandmother coming into the room and saying to me, "We've done everything we can. We can't get to your father. We can't take you to a bigger hospital. You have to tell God that you want to live." As in me, myself. I have to tell God that I want to live. And so she wrapped me in a blanket, and she took me outside of the house. And so I was sitting on like the veranda, the patio area. And I just remember like everything becoming super high definition. It was just like, malaria can also cause hallucinations. But I remember just hearing the birds and the people, and just everything was just becoming in high definition. And so in that moment, I told God, I want to live, right? As she had instructed. And I remember, looking back on it, I think the formative experience that it told me, one, I feel that God is on my side, but also that I'm responsible for me. Like I can take charge of my own life, and my voice matters, right? Like I can have that direct impact on my own life. And that was an early time in my life to really start that way of thinking. But it was because the next morning that fever broke. So then it kind of reinforced my faith
You're like,
in
oh,
what
man.
my grandmother told me, that I myself had to tell God that I wanted to live. And so that way of thinking has guided my thinking, and it's one that has been positive in my life, that you can take charge of your own destiny or your own life experience here. But much like that, we all have narratives, and we all have things that are guiding us in how we think, and what we want to promote or push forward in this particular moment in our development as a country, as a person, as a community. And that's part of what we're doing here, is to really take hold of that narrative and have a shared vision for the development that we want, that is centered around African voices and African values. And imagine now a development that is centered around the philosophy of Ubuntu, which is about all of our humanity is tied together, right? I am because you are. Yeah, because we are. So what if development was centered in that philosophy, which is a very indigenous African belief? rather than individual gain and capitalism. What would our world look like now?
That's powerful.
Right?
Yeah, like I've always I feel like a time when I remember coming into the whole philosophy of Ubuntu, and you know, the saying that I am because we are, and I cannot be everything I am. I cannot be as great as I can be unless you are as great as you can be.
Right. All of us together, in it together. Yes.
Yeah. So being, I guess it's such a powerful question, and I honestly don't know how we can get there. We have all been, you know, so drawn into the whole capitalist mindset. You know, there's a winner and there's a loser.
Right.
Yeah, you know,
Hierarchy.
I hear hierarchy. You know, like you know, we're tied into these social classes, and you know, so if I win, someone has to lose, and it's not that we don't. I don't think as a society, as a community, um, we have learned how to win together. Like seeing the other person win, is it's just it doesn't mean that you have lost. And
Right.
I remember recently coming. There's a friend of mine. We're working on a project together, and I believe she wanted to make the point that she has a different way of doing the project. You know, the same work. So she makes the point that, hey, I'm doing this work, but I'm not doing it like this. And so she's talking about the way I work,
Right.
or I operate. And then I'm doing it like as if insinuating that her way is better. And I remember reaching out to her and I'm like, you know what? You can still win without bringing others down.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Right.
you can still win without bringing others down. And she
Yeah.
looked at me like, I get it
Yeah.
and I'm sorry. And I respected her for that. She's like, I get it and I'm sorry.
Yes.
You know? And so I don't know how we climb out of that hole.
Yeah, and I think the current development narrative puts us in a scarcity mindset, right? And when you're in a scarcity mindset, you're thinking, I have to get mine, no matter what. I think that also drives the things that we see around corruption and things like that. People thinking, I have to get mine, rather than how can we all thrive? Because if you look in nature, nature balances things. You know, when nature is not being exploited, it balances things so that the entire ecosystem thrives, and all parts of it are thriving, and we have seen that reflected in nature. So we want to take that lesson and think about stepping away from the scarcity mindset. How do we bring us all along? And you know, part of it is letting go of that idea that you just need to accumulate for yourself, right? Because now we're seeing, you know, much more coming up of things like social entrepreneurship, where yes, you're making a profit, but you're also concerned with the social good, and you're concerned with the environment, and you're concerned with other people, and that way of thinking can still be profitable, but as well, you're bringing everyone along, and you're taking care of the environment. You're taking care of where we all have to live. This is where we all have to exist.
I think it's going to be, for us to adopt that, there has to be a serious level of unlearning. On
Yeah.
like I was just thinking about it while you're sharing, and I'm like, even something as little as let's just talk about sports. No, like we are, I would say, and I'm speaking for Uganda,
Right.
every weekend is a sports weekend. So most you know, young people and everyone is watching, who, you know, trying to root for their favorite team, and we can't wait. Even if my team wins, sometimes I'm more excited about which team lost.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm guilty of this.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of this. I troll
Yeah.
the
for sure.
losers on the other side.
Yeah, for
And,
sure.
I can't be satisfied with my win alone.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm always like, okay, you guys lost, and you know, for the next 3 days, it's going to be straight trolling.
Right.
And we need to. So it's if it happens on a small level like that, because we watch these sports games with our kids, you know, and they're growing up like that. I was watching. I was standing over the balcony yesterday, and I was watching a bunch of kids playing football. And they're really young, and I was amazed at how talented they are, because the things they're doing. And I think they were like about 6-7 years old. And I remember like one of the teams winning, and I was rooting for the team because of the smaller kids.
Yeah.
The bigger kids were the other day, so
right.
I was rooting for the smaller kids. Yeah, and so they win. They end up winning, and something happened. Something surprised me. One of the talented but smaller kids, like I don't know what language he was speaking. They're from Sudan, and but he is, you know, visibly telling the other team, get off the pitch, like, you know, like, get off, like he's rude. You know what I mean? He's like looking them down, staring them down, and I'm like, okay, as adults, when we win, when you know, it's something the celebration, you know, you want to, you know, flex in front of, you know, your opponent. But I'm like, man, this kid is like 6 years old. Who taught how to do that?
What's happening right now?
But
aren't they supposed to be getting good sportsmanship? You know,
exactly, like
shake the hand
of the loser, like you played a good game. But it's like, no, get off the court, get off the pitch. And I'm looking at them like, okay. So I'm rooting for the small team, and I'm not really bothered, but that gesture, like, kind of like made me think a little bit, like, wow. It just shocked me a little bit. So how are we getting out of this mindset? I think it is something we have to teach. But how do we teach it? I remember going to being in primary school, and now this happens with all our relatives and all that. But you know how I think some schools don't do this anymore. But when you would excel in class, when you are the best student, so they would rank every kid from the best up to the last one. Okay, so you know, in a way, that is kind of grooming you to be like psycho competitive,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's grooming, like you know, if your parents get your report card. Well, it wasn't a report card back in the day. It was just like a list, and then they would use a marker to mark you somewhere.
Yeah.
So if you're like me, who was always in the middle of the park, you know, it was a big green marker highlighted that all these 50 kids were better than Alex.
Yeah.
So they're not really like hey, they're like, no, you know, look at these other kids. Why are you not?
Well, at the top.
Why are you not at the top and all that? And it used to, it almost numbed us, the ones who are always in the middle of the park. Kind of, I don't know. Speaking for myself, it just kind of numbed the whole experience. Like I wasn't really interested in the whole thing. But you know, you'd always hear once in a while, you know, why don't you be like these other kids, or why don't you be like your cousin who's always number one, or why don't you always be like that? So if you're raised in that mindset where you always have to be at the top, you get what I mean? It becomes I don't know how you learn how to share, how to win together
in that well, in that scenario, I think the reason that's happening because academically, I was at the top, so I was like,
you can't
be like Anna. I can't. I don't relate to what you're talking about.
You can't relate. Like I wouldn't know.
No, but I was at the top. But I also understood. I think through seeing the experience of my siblings who were being compared to me.
Ooh.
I also see that it's because they weren't valuing other things, other talents, other ways that they were exceptional. That's not academia. So I think when you're in that situation and maybe your child is not as academically inclined when the system is so focused on just this narrow, actually a very narrow definition of academia, right? It's they're not talking about dancing or singing or athletics. They're talking about a very narrow lane in which some students excel. So we can't push. There's a famous photo that goes around. We can't, if you judge every animal by how they climb a tree, many of them will fail, right? You can't put the judgment of one way of excelling and push everybody into that lane. So we need to understand how to widen that space so that all talents can be appreciated, whether it's the way you communicate or the way you're compassionate or the way you inspire other people or you're a very talented dancer or a singer. We need to be able to appreciate the entire breadth of human experience and not just push it into academia, right? Because I also think growing up as a person who's like always at the top, you can also just over focus in that particular area, and which leads to problems in other areas of your life because you're so like, this is where I'm getting validated. And this is where
I want to be successful.
Yes.
I want to keep this path.
Yes.
And then you find that at some point you're not prepared to handle the other shocks that life is about.
Yes, which isn't necessarily true, right? Because high performing academia doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be.
Yes, it doesn't always translate.
It doesn't always translate it to what is real life.
Yeah, and
right.
So it is such a. And so if we are stuck in that, and I was telling someone recently, I don't know how possible this is, but I'm thinking about my son, and I'm like, I just want to prioritize a school that favors something beyond academia, like it favors the arts, it favors sports,
right. Yeah, but it should bring students along on their talent.
Yes, to be not just to be wholesome and not just boxed into one tunnel of one road. I spent some time at some point in my life. I was I wouldn't say mentoring, but I was coaching a couple of kids. Though I think one of them is called Lucky. I have a video. I have a video, not a video per se. I think I have a video and a recording of her performance. But I think you talk about formative experiences, maybe at a later point in life, because I think I was maybe 22 or something like that, 23. And I met this girl. She's about 13 years old. She had been uprooted from Kambuga. Kambuga, like in western Uganda, in Kanu, uprooted from Kambuga and then placed in the US.
Wow. Yeah.
Like she had to go to a school in Maryland and, just pick it up and, a whole different curriculum. And she had to contend with that. So when I met her, I think, there's something that was really beautiful about her, like her presence. She was, she had like this deeper voice and a thick Ruchiga accent.
Right.
So it kind of mixed with what she would pick up from the US, a bit of American accent.
Yeah.
And she, what came out was this really unique voice. So when she spoke, you heard her.
Yeah.
You didn't, you couldn't ignore her, right? So Lucky used to ask me a lot of questions. I remember it was Obama's time, he was the president, and she would challenge things. She would challenge his presidency at 13 years old, and she would challenge all these other things. I'd be like, Lucky, you have no idea what you're talking about. But she kept on asking. She kept on asking. She didn't care how ridiculous the questions sounded. So she was a curious learner. But it wasn't translating in the classroom, their classroom. She wasn't getting her grades. She wasn't excelling as well as she could.
Right.
So at some point she comes to me and she's like, Alex, I have this competition. It's a poetry competition. And I know you do communications. I know that you can help me. And this is like, 13 years old. And I'm like, at that point, coming to me and, I want to give back.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. So I pull up Maya Angelou and then we look at the poem Alone, right? And I start coaching her through it, and I start coaching her through body language. I start coaching her through how to express the poetry. And I give her like all these YouTube videos to watch so that she can, be inspired. And in just 3 days, she had memorized the poem. She was exceptional with the presentation, with her her presentation. And even I couldn't do that.
Right.
I couldn't do that. Like, I was like, I can't do that. I can't perform this poetry. And I love poetry, but I can't perform it the way you're doing, the way she's doing.
Yeah.
And so I noticed the talent immediately. So she kept on practicing day and night, perfecting her delivery, perfecting everything. And I would keep on coaching her through it. And she goes to this competition back in her school. I think she was in middle school or something. And then she just keeps on. She becomes the best in her class. She becomes the best in then she goes to like this overall competition in the school from people from other classes in streams and whatever. And she came out second in the whole school in her press. But it's not what happened with that. It's what happened next. Everything opened up. Academically, the world opened up to her. Now that she had the confidence of knowing that she can be great at something, everything else opened up. She would eventually go and get a scholarship at the University of Maryland, right? And she's practicing communications right now. And I'm proud of her. So I want to prioritize that for my own son, to make sure that he has those avenues that can remind him that he's great at this thing.
Right.
And again, how did we come back to this? It's the whole thing of the mindset of, there is, the scarcity mindset.
Right.
Yeah, because we think that maybe if I'm excelling at this thing, there can only be one, or something like that. But that mindset locks us into specific ways of thinking.
Right.
But if we are open-minded, I believe, try out other things, find out, we can all win.
Right.
The society needs different talents, different gifts.
Absolutely.
You need great plumbing the way you need great teachers, you need great doctors, great engineers. So we can win in our different respects, but it doesn't, I think if we look back at our education system, and we have to be more open-minded at the beginning, if we're going to have a chance at crawling out of this scarcity mindset, that where we start from a very young age looking at certain those who are better than us at academically, or in this other field as entirely, as that's the only way, and we start comparing each other to comparing ourselves to each other, yet we are gifted differently.
Right.
Yeah. So Dr. Anna, I don't know, I think we have a lot of work to do.
I agree, but also it's having this dialogue, it's having this conversation, it's thinking about other ways of doing and other ways of being, and I think also centering our indigenous values here, rather than thinking about part of that post-colonial trauma I talk about is that scarcity mindset, putting ourselves in that hierarchy, because that is what was, impressed upon us. And now we're impressing it upon ourselves, right? So the greatest setback is our own mental chains that remain, even when like the actual colonizers we don't know if there's still a presence. There's still a presence. There's still
there's still a mindset,
an influence. There's still the narrative. But all of us starting to discuss it and starting to intentionally center other ways of being and other ways of doing. And I want to take this opportunity to talk about how you center African voices in your work.
going back to some of the things that I've talked about, like it's I realized early on how powerful one's voice can be through my own experience. When I when I inadvertently
Right.
caused the strike. No,
Started a riot.
it's that. So I don't want to take credit for it up to today, but I'll take some responsibility
Right.
in doing that. So when I realized that when I realized how powerful our voices can be, I resolved to do something about it, to use my platform, to use my voice, to help to only improve, I guess, the human condition. So I took that and did 2 degrees in communication and dedicated myself to communications work. And now I'm serving multiple entities in supporting their communications work, non-profits, individuals, businesses, and I'm doing that so that in hope of with the hope that they will realize their fullest potential, and also to ultimately the goal is to change the narrative about the continent.
Absolutely.
in ter-
That is, yeah.
Yeah, because I think in many ways I've interacted with so many people, particularly from the global north, who don't believe, who are often sometimes surprised about the capacity that we have in the global south, and it's kind of frustrating. And it's just like I don't know which speaker it was, but someone once said that if you're the danger of a single narrative, and I'm not going to shoot down anyone involved in aid work, because I don't believe that it's not entirely about I don't want to get into the conversation of aid and versus trade,
Right.
but I want to say that yes, there is a single narrative, and that narrative has mostly done a disservice, especially to our business community,
Right.
because how are you going to win on the trade front if a significant amount of the world believes that you are mostly swatting flies off your face, right? If those are the conditions that the rest of the world believes that you're in, how are you going to make a compelling case that you have innovated in a way that the world hasn't seen before, right? So yes, and I think to balance that, to counter that, the only way I can do that is through amplifying businesses and the businesses the voice of businesses, also what they're achieving, the successes, to show that we are actually capable of so much more than the world thinks we are right now.
Yes.
So that is the whole goal. That's the whole ethos. That's the whole mission of Nile Valley, to be the biggest cheerleader
Yes.
of the African
Yes.
business.
Yes.
And that is what we're doing. We are always cheering on for businesses. We are documenting them. We are covering them. We are putting them on platforms. We are celebrating them, small or big. It doesn't matter. As long as you're doing something that's worthwhile,
Right.
we are right there promoting you.
Great. Perfect. So Alex is doing that through Nile Valley Communications. For my part, I was in graduate school and we were assigned to read 23 books.
What?
To enrich our thinking about the world. And every single one of those books was written by a white male. And I said to myself, how do we change this? How do we get to a point where there are other options for people besides books written primarily by European males? And so that's what inspired me to tell my story. That's what inspired me to write the book that supports this webcast and supports this movement of Realize It Africa, to tell my story, because I feel like there's so many of us with such powerful stories that go untold because we're reading books, primarily written by European males. So that's where we are now. You're working with Nile Valley Communications. I'm releasing this book, Realize It, Affirmative Contemplation, so to kind of help us really change this mindset. And you are joining us. We thank you for joining us. And we're here to journey with you as you realize it and evolve.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. Doing that does so much for the channel. So please, if you like our content and you want to support us and so that we can keep on bringing out this content, please like, follow, and subscribe.
And we also want to thank you for the tremendous support of the first episode.
I know, right?
It's good. It's been picking up, so we are very grateful for your support.
I mean, we're almost at 2,000 subscribers
Yeah.
in just, I don't know, a couple of weeks.
Yes.
So, wow. Let's keep it going, yeah? Thanks, guys. You guys
Thank you.
I mean, we're just going to, as long as you keep on coming, we're going to keep on bringing this content. So please keep liking and encourage others to subscribe as well.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, guys.